Hi, welcome to Channel 2 News. I'm Sierra.
I'm Lorraine. I'm Alana.
I'm Leah.
I'm Lynn.
I'm Yifei.
Today, my fellow anchors and I will be taking you through Norway and showing you how climate change is a real issue for many groups of people. So to start off, Norway is experiencing both ecological and social vulnerabilities because of climate change. There's been an increase in excessive rain that has led to flooding and landslides. Also, this extreme weather has increased instances of power outages and loss of phone reception, which is greatly impacting local communities. With this negative, however, comes some positive. Agriculturally, there are longer growing seasons, and glaciers, unfortunately, receding has increased tourism for people who want to see them. If this is you, I suggest you book a trip fast. Now to my fellow anchor Alana to discuss Oslo, Norway's capital.
Thank you, Sierra. Looking at Oslo's vulnerabilities, there are some social ones. One is due to the inconsistent weather and extreme cold temperatures, pipes are being affected. Breaks and leaks are occurring, threatening drinking water. Looking at ecological vulnerability, there are increased temperatures which are impacting Oslo overall. This is causing drinking water to be polluted due to increased content in metals. Although Oslo is experiencing many negatives, there are also opportunities, including many economic advances. Changes in the climate have led to many job opportunities, like for engineers and architects. Construction of green buildings in Oslo is also allowing for efficiency. These buildings will use the sun to produce more energy.
I'm Shi. Now I'm talking about Sami people vulnerabilities. Okay, so from culture side, the lifestyle diseases in the Sami people has occurred, which actually created threats to their mental health. The second point is like the Sami people language, social development, and industrialization have been endangered. The last point is reindeer herding is being affected as the temperature increases. For Sami people opportunities, from culture side, some people have been able to adapt and modernize their traditions due to change in climate. For instance, they have used their knowledge of weather to make subtle change. From economic perspective, tourism has increased, which boosting incomes. Also, some tourists seek to experience traditional lifestyle of the indigenous people, like fishing, farming, reindeer herding. Talking about trades-off. First, we will talk about its increasing temperature has sped up, which led to decrease in tourism during winter season and affect land used for reindeer herding. And the second point is cutting down on overall transportation, which makes people sacrifice convenience of personal transportation to use public forms of transportation. And the third point is burning of garbage in massive incinerators to heat building, which actually help the renewable energy to higher upfront costs and unpleasant ash in air. And the last point is installing hydroelectric dams as power source, which affects some people and their culture. Their land is being used for environmental purpose.
Hi, this is Yifei. I'm talking about the Norway's economy. So, Norway's economy has evolved from farming, fishing, trading, and logging to mining and shipping fossil fuels to other countries. This industrialization over the past few years has led to an increase in Norway's carbon footprint. The major contribute to the footprint is from the boats in shipping and the cars, trucks people use every day around the country.
Hi, I'm Lynn. Today I will talk about the history of the fossil fuels. The discovery of gas in the Netherlands in the late 1950s caused the people in Norway to wonder about the economic benefits of the fossil fuels. In April 1965, a total of 22 exploration drilling holes for the fossil fuels, and Norway also overall emissions in relation to other countries. Because Norway is almost entirely run on hydropower, which means about 95% of the country's energy needs, and Norway is among the world's greenest countries. The second part is about the deforestation of the Norway. The deforestation of the Norway in the 19th centuries, Norway was once at risk of losing too much of its forest due to the logging impacting the country's carbon footprint. Since then, the country has protected the forests and planted more trees. As part of the protection, trees are regularly measured and monitored. After being at risk, Norway has taken large steps to protect the forests and help other countries. first country to adopt a ban of deforestation in 2016, and donate money to countries will help to stop the deforestation. Norwegian Parliament is committed to the government action plan on the natural diversity.
This is Leah speaking. Norway's industrialization and advancement, as Ife and Lin has discussed, can be linked to their political stance. Today, Norway's prime minister is a part of the Conservative Party that believes in minimal involvement of the government in the economy, but more liberal social ideas, such as environmental preservation. This could be why Norway has stated a leader in environmental preservation and are on the track with their duties from the Paris Agreement. Norway also and the Saami people has also been involved in the climate action through setting up a forest and a climate. To discuss about the climate environment, Norway's environment is focused on the International Climate and Forest Initiative is setting out to control the deforestation in the developing country. Also, environment is focused on cutting ties to the oil company, aiming to dramatically lower carbon emissions. The Saami position on the climate agreement was heard by the world leader earlier this week as Ali Keskitalo, president of the Saami Parliament in Norway, held a speech at the high-level segment of the COP.
Looking at the mediation plan, our goal is to solve tensions between clients and create equitability and hold each client accountable for their equal contributions to climate change. The Sami people's rights will be protected as we don't want anyone to suffer consequences from Norway's actions. The problem that we're facing is Norway has been installing wind turbines and hydroelectric dams in order to decrease the use of oil. However, in the process, companies have been eliminating reindeer herding lands that have belonged to the indigenous Sami people. We have a few steps that we believe will help with this problem. 1. Have representatives of each group meet to discuss interests. 2. Discuss negotiation between parties in order to grant Sami people more land or relocate wind turbines. And then 3. Develop an effective communication plan between the Norwegian government and Sami people for future conflicts. Some of the vulnerable parties include women, people affected by poverty, indigenous people, and reindeer. Women are being impacted due to restrictions that have been put in place by RED, which is an organization called Reducing Emissions and Deforestation and Forest Degradation. Women can no longer gather wood for cooking from the forest. This is affecting their right to adequate standard of living. People being impacted by poverty are also being affected as they've been taken away the opportunity for the poor and the vulnerable to utilize the forest for resources in order to sustain themselves through the firewood and grazing cattle. This affects, once again, their right to adequate standard of living. The indigenous people, or Sami people, have faced endangerment of their language, lifestyle, diet, and migration from their homeland. This is affecting their right to participate in cultural life. The reindeer, which are non-human, have faced many deaths because they've been starved to death. This is affecting the animals' rights because it's related to the possession of their own existence and their basic interests. Norway overall has been a pretty good country in preserving the political, civil, and individual rights, but they do struggle in a few areas. One of these areas that needs improvement includes immigration and rights of minorities. Actions have already been taken to remove threats from the indigenous people and the non-humans, or reindeer. In these areas, the government is trying to provide aid to those who are facing human rights issues and concerns. In Oslo, there's a Human Rights House, which is an organization that has in place many different divisions working to create hope and change in human rights.
Thank you, Leah. I wanted to bring up this video game that a group of college students designed where the player is in the position of a person trying to survive a world where climate change has taken over and transform civilians into zombies. When the player completes an action that helps defeat climate change, they receive benefits that help them kill zombies, the same group of college students also designed an art exhibit that is going to be going up all around Norway to help display how it will impact future generations. In order for real change to be done, which is highly necessary right now, we believe a plan should be enacted that involves all stakeholders. It's important for national and state governments to have a presence in reporting and promoting the preservation of Sami lands and culture, since they are typically overlooked in governmental policies. Press releases are a powerful tool for the government to use, along with legal policies that Lorraine will discuss.
Thank you, Sarah. To proceed for future international climate change negotiations, our think tank suggests: first, education, training, and public awareness, participations, and access to information. For instance, many effective ways to advocate improvements to climate change, like lectures, videos. Second point is assess progress every few years. This can evaluation of efforts and progress in creating awareness. The last point is creating partnership in the market. Economic development can aim to help solve climate change by providing and implementing new ideas. And just as mentioned in the previous PowerPoints, so what we can know is there are some detailed financial costs to future generations. The first one is the implementation of education, training, and more information to the public. For instance, high school and university lectures can be expensive, between like $1,000 to $2,500, and like lecture, the cost will be like payment to professors and invitation to influential people. It's like between $30 to $70 per hour. And for videos, like the cost will be like videographers and editing crew, about like $800 per day of filming. Like as we mentioned, like the main cost of education and training actually is advertisement and propaganda. Also, the second point, assessing progress. Government to use funds for research and data, and partnership in markets. Project funding and human resources will require a lot of money to set up.
There are 4 major groups who were impacted. As Alana mentioned earlier, women, people impacted by poverty, indigenous people, which is Sami people here, and the reindeer. However, at the same time, we find Norway is seen as one of the best countries for political, civil, and individual rights, except in a few areas. This recommendation will hopefully help to deliver equity to these people by guiding their education, governmental representation, better jobs, upholding their human rights, and trying to decrease the amount of discrimination they face every day.
Overall, wrapping up everything that we've said and talked about, these are a few steps that we believe that will help Norway the best. 1, we believe creating awareness. Norway, Oslo, and the Sami governments should all collaborate to spread education and awareness of climate issues impacting the country. In addition, all countries should acknowledge how individuals are contributing to climate change every day in their daily lives. The use of social media will also be essential, as it has the ability to get information to a large group of people in a short amount of time. A second step that we feel will be very important is the government involvement. The national and state governments of Norway and Oslo should use their power to give the Sami people a voice in legal matters. This would involve press releases and conferences. Also, having an elected representative from the Sami people present at all meetings about the Paris Agreement and future agreements will be critical. The third step is looking at future relations with the Paris COP. Norway has been involved with the UNFCCC since 1992. We recommend that Norway stays a part of the UNFCCC to stay on track with the Paris COP goals. We also want to give the Sami people more of a voice in negotiations as the plans begin to move forward.
I will continue to introduce the first part of the conclusion. Climate change is scary. Not only Norway, but also the world are facing negative effects brought by climate change. People need to spread awareness and educate everyone on the risks of policies. Real action needs to be taken where countries use their power to make laws and regulations to shape the future that our world needs. Also, the Norway's government has noticed the huge impact that brings by climate change, and they have actions on political education, renewable energy, advertisements to enhance the awareness of the public.
The world has started work on climate change protection called UNFCCC in Paris and Kyoto Protocol since 1992. It set up several rules to limit carbon dioxide emission. Norway are trying harder to make the world a better place.
This has been Channel 2 News. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye!